Decoding the Silence, The Art of Reading Her Energy. Most men are walking through life completely blindfolded, missing the neon signs being flashed right in front of their eyes. You have to understand that a woman's attraction rarely speaks in plain English. It speaks in body language, proximity, and subtle psychological invitations. While you're waiting for her to come out and say, "I want you," she is busy dropping a trail of breadcrumbs that she expects you to be aware enough to follow. When you miss these signals, you aren't just being polite or respectful, you're being disconnected. And nothing shuts down a woman's interest faster than a man who can't read the emotional atmosphere. You need to develop a refined sensitivity to detail, noticing the way the energy in the room shifts when she walks in, or the way her tone softens when she speaks directly to you. The reality is, for many women, attraction is not about loud declarations. It's about subtle testing. She wants to know if you're present, emotionally intelligent, and aware enough to feel what's happening without her needing to spell it out. When she creates a moment for you to step forward, she's not demanding, it's an invitation. And how you respond reveals everything about your confidence, your awareness, and your emotional maturity. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you missed a moment? Like later, when you replayed it in your head, everything suddenly made sense, but it was too late? Maybe she lingered a little longer than necessary. Maybe she laughed just a bit too warmly at something ordinary. Maybe there was a pause, a silence that felt full, but you didn't know what to do with it. That's exactly what we're talking about here. Those moments are not random. They are emotional openings, and today I want you to start seeing them clearly. My name is Sophia Reed, and on this channel, Her Mind Decoded, we explore the deeper layers of female psychology, so you can understand not just what she says, but what she truly means beneath the surface. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Attraction lives in the space between words. It lives in hesitation, in eye contact, in the way someone positions themselves when they feel seen. And if you're only listening to what's being said out loud, you're missing the entire conversation. Imagine this. You're sitting across from someone, maybe at home, maybe out somewhere casual. She shifts slightly closer. Not dramatically, just enough that the distance feels different. Her body turns toward you. Her attention sharpens. Now, logically, nothing has been said. But emotionally, everything has changed. That shift is communication. Psychologically, this is what we call nonverbal signaling, one of the most powerful forms of human communication. Studies in behavioral psychology show that over 70% of emotional communication is nonverbal. That means tone, posture, proximity, and eye contact carry far more meaning than words ever could. And when a woman is interested, she leans into this language naturally. But here's where most men go wrong. They hesitate. They overanalyze. They question their instincts instead of trusting them. And that hesitation, it doesn't come across as respectful. It comes across as uncertainty. And uncertainty, especially in moments of emotional tension, can quietly dissolve attraction. Now, I'm not telling you to rush or force anything. That's not confidence. That's pressure. What I'm guiding you toward is awareness. The kind of awareness that allows you to recognize when a moment is unfolding and respond with presence instead of doubt. Let's ground this in something real. Think about a time when someone asked you for help with something simple, something they could have easily done themselves. Maybe reaching for something, maybe fixing something small. On the surface, it seems practical, but emotionally, it creates proximity. It creates interaction, it opens a door, and in many cases that's intentional. Humans are wired for connection, but we don't always express desire directly, especially women who are often socially conditioned to communicate attraction more subtly. So instead of saying, "Come closer," she creates a situation where closeness becomes natural. Now here's the key. How you show up in that moment matters more than the moment itself. If you treat it like a task, you close the door. If you treat it like an opportunity for connection, you open it. It's not about what you do, it's about how present you are while doing it. Your energy, your focus, your ability to stay engaged, that's what she's reading. Let's take this deeper. There's something called emotional attunement, the ability to sense and respond to another person's emotional state. This is one of the most attractive traits you can develop. Not dominance, not performance, awareness. Because when a woman feels that you can read the room, that you can feel the shift without needing instructions, she relaxes. She opens up, she feels safe being expressive without over-explaining. And safety, emotionally and psychologically, is the foundation of attraction. Now think about the opposite. You're distracted, you're half present. Your attention is split between her and something else. Your phone, your thoughts, whatever it is, even if you're physically there, emotionally you're not, and she feels that instantly. Attraction doesn't compete well with distraction. So when she creates a moment, whether it's through proximity, eye contact, or a subtle shift in behavior, what she's really asking is, "Are you here with me?" And your response answers that question without a single word. Let's talk about visual cues for a second, because this is where things get even more interesting. There are moments when a woman becomes more aware of how she's being perceived. She adjusts slightly, her posture changes, she becomes more expressive in her movements. Not exaggerated, but intentional. This isn't performance, it's signaling. She's not just existing in the space anymore. She's engaging with it. And more importantly, she's engaging with you. Now here's where emotional intelligence becomes crucial. If you ignore these moments, not because you didn't see them, but because you didn't know what to do, you create a disconnect, not dramatic, not obvious, but enough to shift the dynamic. And over time, those missed moments add up. So what do you do instead? You acknowledge the moment, not necessarily with words, but with presence, with eye contact, with a shift in your own energy that says, I see you. That's it. No pressure, no performance, just awareness. And from that awareness, everything else flows naturally. Let me give you a simple exercise you can start using today. Next time you're in a conversation with someone you're interested in, focus on 3 things: their eye contact, their body orientation, and their proximity. Are they facing you fully or slightly angled away? Do they hold eye contact just a moment longer than necessary? Do they close the distance subtly over time? These are not random behaviors, these are signals. And when you start noticing them, you'll realize something powerful. The conversation has been happening all along. You just weren't listening to the right language. Now, I want you to stay with me, because what we're about to explore next goes even deeper into how attention, tension, and timing shape attraction, in ways most people completely overlook. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Now let's go deeper into something most people completely misunderstand: the role of attention. Because attention is not just about looking at someone, it's about choosing them in a moment where you could choose something else. There are subtle situations where a woman will shift her behavior, not loudly, not dramatically, but just enough to see if your focus follows her. Maybe you're busy, maybe your attention is elsewhere, and suddenly she moves into your space, asks something random, or creates a small interruption. On the surface, it may seem insignificant, but psychologically it's not. It's a bid for connection. In relationship psychology, these are called attention bids, small attempts to gain emotional engagement. And research shows that how you respond to these bids directly impacts attraction, trust, and long-term connection. Now here's where awareness changes everything. If you respond with irritation, distraction, or indifference, the message she receives is simple: you're not important right now. If you respond with irritation, distraction, or indifference, the message she receives is simple: you're not important right now. You communicate something much more powerful: I see you. You matter in this moment. That's not about dominance, that's about presence, and presence is magnetic. Let's make this real. Imagine you're focused on something, a game, your phone, work, and she steps into your line of sight. Maybe she asks a question that feels unnecessary. Maybe she lingers a little longer than needed. Instead of brushing it off, try this. Pause what you're doing, look at her fully, and engage with intention. You'll feel the shift immediately, because what she's really testing in that moment isn't your availability, it's your awareness. And when you meet that moment with grounded attention, you create emotional tension in the best possible way. The kind that builds curiosity, connection, and attraction without forcing anything. Now let's talk about something even more subtle: visual communication. There are moments when someone becomes more expressive physically. In small, intentional shifts, the way they sit, the way they move. This is not random. It's a form of emotional exposure. And here's the important part: when someone expresses themselves in that way, they're also watching how you respond. Do you become uncomfortable? Do you ignore it? Or do you acknowledge it naturally? Because that response tells them whether it's safe to be open around you. Safety doesn't come from silence. It comes from grounded, non-judgmental awareness. If you react by shutting it down, correcting it, or pretending not to notice, you create distance. But if you simply stay present, calm, aware, and respectful, you allow that openness to expand. And that's where real connection begins. Now, I want to address something important here, because this is where people often get it wrong. Awareness is not permission to assume. Confidence is not permission to push. And attraction is never an excuse to ignore boundaries. What we're talking about is reading energy, not overriding it. There's a difference between noticing openness and respecting it, versus trying to control the situation. And the most attractive quality you can develop is knowing that difference. Let's move into another powerful dynamic: proximity and intentional closeness. There are situations where someone creates a reason to be physically closer to you. It might be something simple: standing near you, reducing distance. Psychologically, proximity increases emotional intensity. It heightens awareness. It creates a shared space. And when that space is created intentionally, it becomes an opportunity, not to rush, but to connect. If you treat it mechanically, you lose the moment. If you treat it with awareness, you deepen it. It's the difference between completing a task and experiencing a connection. Now here's something I want you to really reflect on. Have you ever had a moment where everything felt aligned, the energy, the timing, the connection, but you hesitated? You second-guessed yourself. You waited too long, and eventually the moment passed. That's not failure. That's a lack of trust in your own perception. And rebuilding that trust starts with one simple shift. Stop dismissing what you feel. Your intuition is not random. It's built on patterns, observations, faster than you realize. When something feels different, it usually is. The key is learning to respond with calm confidence instead of hesitation. Now let's talk about real-world interactions, even in public. Brief interactions, eye contact, shared awareness. Sometimes it's as simple as someone entering your space in a noticeable way. Maybe they drop something nearby, maybe they pause, maybe they look at you just a second longer than necessary. These are not always accidents. Sometimes they're opportunities. Opportunities to engage, to acknowledge, to connect. And here's the truth. Most people miss them because they're too busy analyzing instead of responding. So what does responding look like? It's simple. You meet the moment, you engage naturally, you make eye contact. You allow a brief interaction to unfold without overthinking it. Because confidence isn't loud, it's fluid. And when you operate from that place, interactions become effortless. Now, before we close, I want to leave you with something practical, something you can start applying immediately. For the next 7 days, I want you to practice awareness over reaction. Instead of asking, "What should I do?" Ask, "What is happening right now?" Observe the energy, notice the shifts, pay attention to the small details, the pauses, the proximity, the eye contact. And most importantly, respond with presence, not pressure. Because when you stop forcing outcomes and start understanding moments, everything changes. You become more grounded, more aware, more connected, and that's when attraction stops feeling confusing and starts feeling natural. If this opened your perspective even a little, take a second to like the video. It helps more than you think. And I'd really love to hear from you in the comments. What's one moment you now realize you may have misread? And if you're ready to understand these dynamics on a deeper level, subscribe to Her Mind Decoded. Because here, we don't just talk about attraction, we decode it. I'll see you in the next one.